A little more than 2 years ago, on the February Direct, the world was introduced to Xenoblade 3's announcement trailer. So, today, July the 29th, at least in my time zone,
Not anymore.
to celebrate Xenoblade 3's release anniversary, we'll briefly analyze the trailers and discuss the theories some people and I had at the time, and how much did the trailers spoil with and without context. I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, so here's a very late reaction analysis video on those trailers. Let's begin with the first trailer, the announcement trailer. February the 9th. It came as a very happy surprise to me, although that interview with Jenna Coleman kinda leaked the idea, so many were expecting it. I wasn't.
Hey guys, Nishquick here, and happy 2-year anniversary to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. For this 2-year anniversary, I kind of want to recount some anecdotes and stories about how much this game means to me and kind of the lead up to this game, because it was one of the most fun lead ups to any video game in my opinion. And big shout out to Imperfect Works for having me on this collab in this video. I'm happy to be sharing my experience about this amazing game with you guys. So, flashback to even like September 2021, that's when some leaks of Xenoblade 3, what it's going to be like, started to come out. And coincidentally, that's right when I completed Xenoblade 2, so I was like, perfect timing.
My name is Sparks Opus, but you can also call me Sparks. I only started to play the series at the end of 2020, the year of the definitive edition of the first game. And the second game a year later, so when the first trailer was revealed I wasn't even thinking about Xenoblade, simply because it seemed like the last game wasn't that long ago, even though it surely was. When the shot with that Mechon looking robot appeared, yeah, I saw it instantly and realized, shit, so soon.
I didn't recognize it was Xenoblade until the transition, when we saw soldiers in black uniform with futuristic weapons. It was very reminiscent of the Battle of Sword Valley. And then, giant-faced Mechon, just as the protagonist said,
Ionios.
When that hit me, it was one of the most exciting and hype moments I've experienced, along with the prior year Metroid Dread reveal, and the very later Xenoblade 3 Wave 4 trailer. Don't know if that's good or it says how boring my life was.
Flash forward to February, I was working at this internship, and it was pretty close to where I live, and I was not able to watch the Direct live, but I was getting texts from so many of my friends around like 5 p.m. when the Direct ended. When I was driving back home, they're all saying, oh, you're gonna love this Direct, you're gonna love it, and in my head I was like, I know it's going to be announced, but what was funny is I also had this dream the night before the Nintendo Direct of what Xenoblade Chronicles 3's like opening trailer is going to be like, and this is kind of crazy. I've only mentioned this story like once on the channel, but hear me out. It was basically like just the game, and I don't remember the details, but I remember how it ended. The ending was an adult Melia and an adult Nia, like much older. They were looking at the player character, the protagonist, in this like grassy field with like a nice blue sky, and they're saying like, let's go on this adventure together or something like that. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh my god, that's so different from my dream, because it was like more happy in that dream, and now they're like evil queens. I thought that was pretty cool. But what was funny is that kind of image of them talking to you in like this nice grassy field with the blue sky, it was still there in the game. So I kind of like predicted that, not really, but it just coincidentally happened in a dream before the game was even announced.
Anyways, characters. We only learned their names after the trailer though. Protagonist with a red Monado-like sword, plus the power frames. Many instantly linked the Black faction with Shulk and Bionis. Colony 9 soldiers with Mechon tech as devastating weapons of war. From enemies to fighting in one side, that's how it felt.
Regarding the sword, I mean, there's always something about the sword in Xenoblade, only exception being cross, but I had no clue really what that could be.
Then we saw a Gormoti girl with twin rings, easily related or referencing Nia. Some even thought she was Nia, but the apparent age and the lack of marks in her face said otherwise. Plus, the actual Nia we see later on. No mistaking it, even her voice.
They must be erased without a trace.
The Gormati looked like Nia, but I was sure she wasn't Nia. Pretty early on I was thinking that she's probably her daughter. Couldn't be any other way really, considering how close she actually looks like Nia.
The lines,
What would possess you to side with them?
along with a later shot of Noah and Mia exchanging flutes, made me think that they knew each other from before, that there was a time of peace before the war. I was wrong, obviously. Then, a Machina soldier, with a shield sword thing. Many, even to this day, for some reason, didn't get he was a Machina. We got a glimpse of the girl with the goal, wielding a shield hammer, and her with flames, reminiscent of Bridget, blade. Then, a human Bandem, same scar, voice actor.
I did thought that Van Damme was Zeke at the beginning, though the voice actor threw me off a bit because that was obviously Van Damme, but yeah, I once again wasn't so sure. Since Xenoblade always has a secret villain, hearing about a real enemy was something that probably most of us kinda expected, but of course still piqued our curiosity.
You are not enemies now. Swordage, one pierced by a great sword. The real enemy. Putting those lines together was deceiving. A war between two nations, with a real enemy pulling the strings. Classic Xeno. Then, a shot of a blonde, seemingly important person, also playing a flute. Many, including me, jumped to the conclusions like Shulk related, with no actual evidence. But to this day, it hasn't been denied. Anyways, after that, a shot of Noah and Mio playing a flute together. Cute. We got a very important line here.
Fine for you, isn't it? All that time you've got.
Plus the later lines,
What good's filling up these flickering clocks in our eyes? It'll never replace the friends we've lost.
The flame clock! It has to go!
Flame Clock, it has to go, reminded me of the movie In Time, about people staying young, having limited time, using time, marked on their wrist as money, as currency. We also got a part Holmes Hyentia, the boss. Her wings were darker in some scenes due to shade, but some thought her wings were black or that changed color depending on her mood for some reason.
People were discussing Uni's wing color. I mean, I guess some people have too much free time on their hands.
Following that, we got a cool dude with glasses controlling some origami weapon. They are not your friends anymore, they're his fuel! Mayor Zanza or Xenogears Deus vibes from here. And later, we got shots of weird machines with what we presume were the flame clocks Mio talked about. I really liked how weird Lambda looked here while flipped, with some parts moving, reminded me precisely of a grandpa clock or something. Reminded me of the Fall Sea from Final Fantasy XIII, and they kinda were similar. I still thought there was a big Deus hidden somewhere, and Origin kinda is Deus Mercaba after all. Quick edit, just like Final Fantasy XIII, the mark was theorized to be related to that time you got left, and the clocks. But I remember some theorized weird things about Tyon, as his mark was not visible in the trailer.
When the trailer showed off the landscapes, I was shocked how crisp the footage was. I was actually ready for 720p again, but I was once again unironically shocked to find out that the game was actually being upscaled to a full 1080p. And the animations were also so lively and the character models looking like some actual current gen models. Yeah, I was quite impressed to say the least.
This grassy area reminded me of Upper Bionis Lake, recognized the Bionis Arc but not Kool-Aid Lake, that was now a waterfall, or Gormot's Neck. Next shot drove me crazy. I recognized the distant fingertip. As said before, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, but I got kinda obsessed and tried to make a map, heavily based on Xenoblade Cross or Xenogears, using Uraya as a reference, as Uraya's concept was based in Sylvalum after all. Now Uraya was on what was the Endless Sea before, the land pierced by a great sword, Mekoni's sword. The cut and size matches, but we didn't see it in late Xenoblade 1, so it was a retcon. The sword even appears in Bionis flashbacks in Xenoblade 3, so it's not just due to Origin recreating the world. I'll harness this opportunity to spread my anti-Galahad Fortress deniers propaganda. Only the lower plate blew up. Galahad stayed there, even when Mekonis moved.
Seeing those titans from 2 and the locations from 1 being fused into a single world, now that was incredibly cool. I was so ready to visit all those familiar locations again, just showing over there and look at there, and wow, I know this, it's from that place. Yeah, I was quite excited about that.
I didn't notice Gormot's fin though. Then another shot at Mekoni's finger. Cool plants, but most importantly, the fingers in the desert. As you can see, I heavily based my early Xenoblade 3 map prediction on Mira. Aside from that, I thought that you could go to the fingertip through the cave. We couldn't, sadly. RIP Hidden Village. We also spot bright orbs for collectibles like Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade Cross. RIP Flora Hills and Aching Soul, and aren't we intrepid? We then see another shot of the desert with a Feronis parked there. We can still see Uraya in the back, so more for the map. A shot of Fort Obirbus. Of course we didn't know the name, and it looked like the Mekonis capital, so everyone thought this was a Kevesi city, if not their capital. Along a later shot of Mio in rails, I thought this city was on top of the floating Kevesi castle. Speaking of, it was, and it still is, my candidate for the Oblivia Ring-like object that we may see or not in the future. I really like how the water here in the Great Kote Falls looked. Also, a view of Lambda, not upside down, and the waterfalls. Magna, we were all thinking it. A shot of the Gamma Feronis, foggy and no NPCs in sight, like in Chapter 1. Floating islands, rails, like that one section in Moral Dane, a one-way shortcut. Truly a JRPG staple. Also, black fog.
All is for the future connected.
Black fog, fog beasts. I mean, there was something happening, right? I was already imagining some wild plot twist happening on that.
A shot of what looked like Magna Forest. We see 4 party members at once. We were all thinking on how many would we get. We will have to wait for an answer. Aerith Sea, with the Alchemov Teleporter and Leftyrian Islands. It reminded us of the domes in Primordia. Also, more black fog. And also, a boat, which reminded me of the Machina ship, the Junks. Vehicles were back?
I was hoping for something like the Scale Traversal, maybe not flying around, but cruising on water as an exchange. I was excited in that moment where I saw the ship cruising around.
That water jumping animation had some people speculating underwater areas. Too bad. But maybe in the future with mechs. 2 Nopons that reminded us of Rex and Beta Pyra.
I find it funny that people made the connection from Riku and Manana to Rex and Pyra. Considering the fact that we don't even really know what the Nopon are, I guess everything could have been possible.
We thought they would have some sort of Romeo and Juliet dynamic, mixed with some comic relief. That they were just common variety Nopon. Noah and Mia's jacket together look great. Those colors really complement each other. Also, we saw their weapons, having the Ouroboros symbol instead of their initial ones. I didn't notice. Melia and Nia.
Seeing Nia and Melia again was wild. There is no way that they are evil. There is something more that we don't understand. My girls would never do anything such evil, ever. Yeah, I wasn't buying that.
Why must Keves and Agnus fight each other? Why are the queens fighting each other? We saw a consul here briefly. No context yet, but was the only red armor masked individual in the whole trailer. Could have been just a high-ranked officer, as we knew Monado-like weapons and power frames existed. So a Monado armor? Not really. We had no idea what Ouroboros aboard this world meant at first. Some thoughts were on the real name for the fog beasts, as we saw black fog in the trailer. And Melia was against them. Maybe the real enemy. Flutes. And Uriah with a big hole. We blame Mekoni's sword for that. And it was releasing in the same year.
I almost teared up during the ending with that flute melody and seeing the release date. Man, that made me very, very happy. I was a happy man.
Little did we know that it would come even sooner. We didn't learn the names until they released that info sometime after the presentation. We got the Keves and Agnus nations, which translated to Lamb, another Xenogears reference. Project Noah. Mio confirmed not to be Nia. Awesome.
Keves and Agnes being a biblical reference, and the main character is called Noah, my senses were tingling.
Keves was clearly a Homs Machina-like nation, plenty of Mechons. The white from Entias was given to Agnus. The info post-trailer included pics, and we were able to see the Agnian Levnises. Reminded me of Xenogears stuff. And some had the head of the gargoyle artifices from 2. Agnus was clearly very Torna-inspired, with Nia's blade form looking Torna-like, and her being the queen made sense. And speaking of Xenogears, as it was very Gears-like, I said it as a joke, but we did get something like this after all.
It was as if I could see into the future.
April the 19th.
I also remember when the game was like pushed forward or like anti-delayed. I got back from this road trip with my family and I was pretty tired, so the next morning I kind of overslept, and then I saw on my phone when I got up, like, again, so many messages. Everyone was like, did you see this? And I was like, what did I see? I go on Twitter, I was like, oh, new Xenoblade 3 trailer, let's see it. And I was like immediately blown away. We saw the combat, we saw the gameplay, and then in the end it said July 29th. I was like, wait, I remember the release date being September. What the heck happened? So I was so happy to have the game earlier, but it was also kind of me being a little selfish because I was very happy that Xenoblade 3 was coming out September, because early September is my birthday. So I was like, oh, if this comes out on my birthday around that time, that'd be so cool.
What I do remember is people going nuts over Ethel. All I saw was the lore surrounding the Black Fog and it being related to the Mobius symbol in their eyes.
I was getting ready to go to the bus station when I checked my phone and saw this new trailer, Ouroboros interlink in the thumbnail. The second trailer arrived. That was a wild bus ride. Hadn't even arrived yet, and I just wanted to go back. Ethel, the first thing we see. She is perceiving the protagonists as fog creatures. Oh. 6 party members at once! Gormat Finn. I like this area. Kinda underutilized though. Was that a dash?
I was borderline screaming when I saw 6 members being finally a real thing. And hearing that Monolith Soft was struggling to get the game running on the Switch made a lot more sense now. I was screaming even louder when I saw Big Monkey in the back.
First look at the UI. I like the orange color. Everyone was wondering how the battle system would be. Xenoblade 2-like art palette, but also with circle cooldown arts and auto-attack diamond arts. That truly was a fusion of both worlds. I thought the music was a battle theme. Talent arts reminded me of Blade specials here. Giant monkey spotted. It's approaching. It wasn't Roadbar though. This is the second time this happens. Just that little bit of gameplay got us hyped. The B prompts seem to be gone though.
And then those massive fusions into a single being called Ouroboros, man. All of that looked so badass. I also especially love Tyon with his very unique looking weapons. Mr. Wildride. I love that name, and he looked scary too. Like, very scary. I loved his design.
Is that Garth? With a mouth? Even his attacks looks like one of Garth's. Soul-body separation, sharing memories visions. Wait, that core. Looks like Xenogears Beltal Eva 01 with that Gundam standing up pose. But most importantly, it looked like the original Ares and the ghosts from Xenoblade Cross. Eunice looked even more like it. That Ares pilot design and Elma armor, all dating back to some Cosmos designs. We just saw the Keves interlinks though. We wouldn't know about White Ouroboros until the direct. Colony 9 in the back. I thought it was going to be a boss though. We did fight a similar model along with a Colony Sigma-like model in Future Redeem. I mistook the Danax Desert and that shot of an island in Erythea as being one. Like, I thought that the desert had a bit that connected to the ocean. I'll talk about this in the furnace analysis, but Torna is pretty much a toast-like biome titan. Colony 9 or 6? What appeared to be Orrest in collision course, and indeed it was. Melia again.
That is my revenge. It's payback for Nimue dying with her wish unfulfilled.
Major Ramsus vibes from Isord here. He just spoiled us about Nimue dying though. Many were kinda in denial, saying Mio's lines about having time in the first trailer were from Nimue too, because of some Nimue lines here. Coping.
The wild ride, this passage of fate.
With this line, some people thought this could be Momcar. I also heard some talking about it being Lord from Torna, because of the voice distortion. Anyways, a Darth-like being. And such a fate means reincarnations, confirmed by Zed on the direct.
Let us see how far the flow brings them this time.
Lucky 7 reveal.
The Monado had a hidden Monado.
We got ourselves a nice little awakening.
Lucky 7 indeed reminded me of the Falchion from Fire Emblem Awakening, and the Monado gauntlet and plates looked like the consoles. Sus.
Dude, his Iron Man arm and the most elegant looking Monado we have ever seen yet? I just loved everything about it. And now we can even have 7 party members, additional heroes that we can collect, we can swap classes, chain attacks with some of the nuttiest attacks we have ever seen to date. This game was looking just better and better with every trailer, man. The wait was pure torture.
Overall, it looked like the roles of attackers, tanks and healers were important and crucial, party members too. In Xenoblade 2, the roles system wasn't relevant, and in Xenoblade Cross, party members were nothing irrelevant. You were a one-man army, so I was hyped for this. Teamwork is something I like in RPGs.
And of course, like, throughout this lead up, I was forming my own theories about how this is actually connecting to Xenoblade 1 and 2, what Ionios is, and all that stuff. And I don't remember exactly a lot of theories that I had, but one that I remember specifically, which didn't come true, kind of thankfully, but came true in a different way, was how Poppy would return in Xenoblade 3. I remember in Xenoblade 2, Poppy specifically was like talking to Mithra about being like, how she doesn't want to be like an agent of destruction, how she doesn't want to cause pain or destruction, or the conversation was something along the lines of that. So my theory was that Agnes was going to like use the remains of whatever Poppy was and turn her into like a war machine, and that would be like one of the boss fights you have. But of course that didn't happen. We did see Poppy, but in a more positive way, thankfully.
Why is my name on here?
We didn't think too much of it back then, or related to Eurowars looking like fog beasts. Like if they lost their real form and were false reported as death. Faced Mechon spotted. Baldi spotted. I thought he was a girl mechanic at first. Mechs. More mechs! Artifice Samurai versus Slender Mechon with rings. I still love these designs. Were they bringing mechs like Skells back for us to use? And then, it's releasing sooner!
And then the game dropped the biggest bomb of even releasing earlier. I think it's fair to say that I needed to change my pants afterwards. I stayed away from leaks, and also things that weren't exactly leaks, like Nintendo uploading musical pieces. I stayed away from all of that.
Just after that second trailer, we got some gameplay bits every here and then, from Xenoblade's Japanese Twitter. Until the following month, views of the scenery, plus some advertisement, made us think that it was an open world. We heard some segments of the Keves battle theme with no opposition attacks, and dodge, Uni reviving and healing. The catchy, formidable enemy showing Mio's dodge tank. Overall, I think they did a good job trying to teach or show people how the gameplay worked. More marketing than expected. We heard like 3 notes of Ego's wilderness. I was overanalyzing the rocks. Running away is a valid tactic. They really didn't want to show Lance's art return. Wait, that line!
You're a lifesaver! You're a lifesaver!
Oh yeah, baby!
Rest in peace, Machina Village. A segment of Milik Meadows, like when showing character swapping similar to Torna. Even a chain attack one. We kinda figured out how it worked and had our first taste of the chain attack theme. Some introductions to heroes, etc. I kinda miss those days. You never knew when a gameplay bit would release. Can't wait to experience all of that again for Xenoblade 4. Along with that, they released some area pictures. We recognize Hamo's guidepost, of course, but also more Ardain, even without the head. I remembered the game's box art leaked one night for some reason. Ionis trailers. Cool small trailers showing off the main areas, like Igus. I read online that some were mad thinking this rock here was a spiral valley, but with sand. I personally think it's from Marsh though. Colony Iota. They tried to make us think that the Rivet Flats and Rival were connected to Milik for some reason. Would have been cool, but Milik is Gaur and Gormott, while Rivet is Torna. Some shots of islands of Erythia Sea, and the Great Kote Falls. We also got wallpapers. Just some thoughts on the direct, as it was long. I was at a break at college. I didn't want to watch it and spoil myself, but the hype got the better of me. Wild Ride was the host of this direct. Human form Garf. Mobius being like Testament or the Geisel Ministry.
People made connections to Garth, but who even is that? You're asking the wrong person here. Also, Testament who?
Next, Zet, Evil Krelian, sitting, observing, like the architect from 2. We thought he could be linked to the experiment, the next level. I thought, and I still do, that is based on some Xenoblade Cross characters' true forms, like Ace or Else. We also talked in Discord about him like an evil Albis, or wanting to finish the experiment. Let us see how far the flow brings them this time.
The fact that Zed was the big evil guy made me jump straight to Zanza, incarnation of Zanza or something like that. I was also curious who A would be then if all the letters are present. Once again, my mind jumped to Elvis.
The Direct confirmed Mio's term mark and their lifespan thing.
Hearing that Mio is pretty much about to die, I knew things are about to go down, and I tried to prepare myself for whatever would come. I wasn't prepared. What I can definitely say is that I expected this game to crush me emotionally. Once again, I wasn't prepared. The cutscenes with the Ouroboros and everything looked really promising, by the way.
It also showed up the white Ouroboros. Some predicted that. I didn't. Senna here made us think she was going to sacrifice herself. Noah and Uni Ouroboros fight was weird. And not many, including me, gave it importance. If the world holds us back, I will end it. Could have been an important hard choice they disagreed on. I liked the areas they showed, like Melnath or Elise. Character switching in battle, kinda like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Laugh pods, fake war, sites joining forces, evil consoles, life-absorbing machines.
Something that I remember hearing the most is people calling this game a Xenogears remake or reboot. And considering that we will never get a Xenogears, I was at this point almost convinced by those people that this may actually be the case. Takahashi's grand vision now coming full circle.
And after the trailer in the Direct, a golden console. At first I was like, this is the evil guy's champion, seeing that sword and all, a rival. But those eyes, hair, immediately I was like, ID! Ide, or ID, how you pronounce it. Evil Noah.
This is bad, Noah.
I heard some saying Y and X were an evil Consul Lance and Consul Uni. Cool idea nonetheless, and the helmets kinda match. And we got a Consul Mio. So fair.
I just love how it's 2 years after this game has come out. We're in 2024 now. We're still actively talking about this game. We're still actively talking about it with Future Redeems DLC, which had so much more to talk about. And of course, this recent Ionios Moments art book, which opened up so much things about the lore and the characters that we didn't know much about, which kind of recontextualizes a lot of Ionios and Origin and Ouroboros and Mobius and all that. So that's just a little bit of anecdotes and history and tidbits from me about Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I hope this wasn't too long, and thank you again Imperfect Works for having me on this video, and happy 2-year anniversary to one of my favorite games of all time, my favorite game on the Nintendo Switch. And if you're interested in more Nintendo Switch, RPG, and Xenoblade Chronicles content, check me out on Niche Quick Pops. I'll see you guys there later.
Thank you for the collaboration, man. I'm happy to see that your channel is continuing to grow. Hope you'll reach 1000 subscribers with this one. Did you hear that, people? You better subscribe. And boy, you better leave a like. By the way, look at this like symbol if I say like. It's quite some serious magic. You better leave a like for this one.
The waiting for the game to arrive was killing me. 9 PM, July the 29th. Man, it's been 2 years. Feels like more to me. I wonder if they'll release some art to celebrate it. Maybe in the next ones. As for me, there's still plenty of Xenoblade 3 videos to do before the next game. So look forward to the future. Every time I think I'm done, more ideas come.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Xenoblade 3 content truly is endless. Happy anniversary. Anyways, that would be for today. Have a good one.